But I was flying Lincoln bombers, you know, as a career airman from 1950. Well, I started flying at 1950. But of course, I was flying. You know, I was no intention of ever coming here and working here. But my father died, and I had to buy myself out the Air Force and come and run the place. But yeah, I was a kid in the war. You know, that was fun. You know, sleeping in shelters and everything. But this place, you know, this old shop dates back to 1897. I'm the grandson, and I'm 80. My old grandfather started it as 1897. It's in the history books as he printed for the suffragettes, all that, a lot of women that wanted to vote. He didn't get paid for it because my grandmother was a friend of Mrs. Pankhurst, who was the boss suffragette, and she made him do it for nothing. But he wasn't happy about that, but he didn't argue with my old grandmother. But this place, this place used to do toys as well, printing stationery and toys. We stopped doing toys in the 1970s. The printing press is a letter press. You know, at one time there used to be 12 people working here, because there were 6 presses running. Used to print government forms and boring sort of stuff. And now I'm only doing stuff like open flat invoice books. You know, there's one floating around here somewhere. Sample book, a bit worse for wear. Well, so I like this bigger one here. But you know, books that have been. This is one I use myself. Print the books and sort of buy sort of duplicate books or sort of open flat books. That's the sort of thing. The main one is the smaller build books for the builders. There should be a sample one laying around here, but everything gets lost here. The bills, you can see they're established. This was established in 1897. It's not on the bills, is it? When I was a kid, actually, I lived more out of Romford. My grandfather, you know, I used to come up here and help them out. Even as a kid in the war, I used to help sort of learning how to do the typesetting and everything, and
So you was just working as a kid?
Working
really,
as a kid,
yeah.
Well, before I started coming up here, even when I was younger than them, I used to help the baker's roundsman in the war, you know, going round. Yeah. Everybody had bread delivered.
Did you get paid for that, or?
I used to get £2 for a Saturday, or £6 if I was on school holidays, and done it for the whole week.
Yeah, and how much is £2?
Well, give you an idea what money was. In the war, a loaf of bread was 4pence in the old money. Right. Well, there used to be 240 old pence in a pound. And so if a large loaf of bread cost 4pence, you could get 60 loaves of bread, large loaves of bread for £1. Right. Now you can only get one. That gives you an idea of how money's gone down since when I was a kid. Yeah. When I started smoking, which was underage, I could get 10 fags for 10pence halfpenny, which is equivalent of a shilling is now 5pence, equivalent of about 4.5p today for 10 fags.
Yeah.
But,
what kind of games did you used to play?
Games are exactly the same. At the time we used to play football, cricket, general sort of.
What about boxing?
Right.
Did you get involved in any boxing?
No, I did judo myself. You know,
okay,
my sport was judo.
Okay.
That was the only form of, you know. Nowadays you've got lots of different forms, but in my day the only had the judo. It's based at the Buddha Choir up at the city, but I was in the local club.
Okay.
Strict rules there about throwing on the mat, you know, and you weren't allowed to. You had to learn the break falls, because if you get thrown up in the air and you could come down on your head, you could break your neck. So you had to know how to land. So the first thing with judo, you had to learn how to fall. Once you'd learnt your break falls, then you could start learning how to throw. And that was then. It was all done on the mat, but it was all strict rules. You bowed to the bloke, you know, like Japanese, before you started the fight. And you weren't, no fouling was allowed, no gouging.
Very respectful.
It was a respectable sport,
Yeah.
But of course it's a danger, you know, if you threw someone who didn't know how to fall, and they could land on their head and break their neck, so it was a dangerous sport.
What planes did you use? What planes?
A plane I used to fly was the Lincoln bomber. You've heard of the wartime Lancaster. Well, what they did after the war, they modernised it called it a Lincoln. Exactly as though basically it was the Lancaster, but it had better radar in it, and it carried, you know, and the main thing was the radar. It was the same basic, you know, the same four Avro Merlin engines, same airframe. If you saw a Lincoln and a Lancaster fly over, you wouldn't, they looked the same to you, but that's what I flew.
How did you feel when you used to fly planes?
Oh, it's a lovely feeling, yeah. So it's because you don't start by flying the four-engine bomber. You have to start learning in a single-engine plane, and then once you've got you learn with an instructor, and then of course, and then once you then fly solo. Once you get your licence for doing that, then you have to do a conversion to fly for twin engines. And again with an instructor at first, and then you fly solo. Then you had to go to another conversion to learn to fly a four-engine plane. And that was it, because
Have you got apprentices here with you? How long?
not now. We used to.
Yeah, you used to.
What happened? Malmesbury Road School
Yeah.
used to have a little print shop in, and when the boys left school left at 14,
Yeah.
I think about 4 or 5 boys could stop on till 15, and they could learn, and they were taught printing in that, and we used to take as many as we could from there and
Right.
start them off in the print trade.
Ah.
Like, you know.
So what? All that's a thing of the past now.
That's it, yeah, that's all over now, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's all machines doing it now, I suppose.
Yeah, well, this is you know, in my day it was lead type. You know, you set the lead type, and then the ink, the machine, the rollers inked the type and pressed it into the paper, what they called letterpress printing. But now it's all digital computer technology, you know.
Yeah.
See, nowadays, here with a newspaper, the reporter phones in his copy, and they tap it into a computer, and it makes the plate all ready to print. In the old days, you had to set it up in type.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old is this building?
This building is modern for Bow, because it was only built in 1900. See, all the buildings along here date back to about 1870. But my grandfather said, well, he started the business, he was in Tredegar Road before this was built. If you notice, this shop and the takeaway next door, they're bigger than the other shops. And when he was a boy, there was a little old country cottage used to lay down with a flower garden that come between that shop, which was there, and the shop that's 2 doors away. Well, that's been rebuilt. And they knocked down the cottage in 1900 and built these 2 shops, what was the garden. So, because with most of the old buildings have all got wooden beams. You can see up there, there's a girder. That box there's got, you can see the plate of a girder. Because the older buildings didn't have iron girders. This is a good, strong old building.
Well, it's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you
It's
very
been
much.
really